So yesterday, after months of thoroughly investigating what actually happened in the case of Breonna Taylor, the Attorney General finally took the stand and said that cops would not be convicted of any wrongdoing, any criminal wrongdoing that resulted in Breonna Taylor's death. Let's get into it. The cops not being convicted in the case of Breonna Taylor comes as no surprise to me. Why? Because I've been following this case since it actually happened. Now, I didn't take to social media to give any insight or any opinion on what I thought would actually happen simply because there's a lot of sensitivity regarding it, and I can make a case for fallibility on the cop's side, but also on Breonna Taylor's side as well. So I wanted to make sure the facts actually came out and I actually had everything accurate after a thorough analysis and investigation of what actually transpired. And to no surprise, the results are exactly what I believe they would have been. Now, there's been a lot of dishonesty on the media's behalf in them presenting information about what actually happened. Some say Breonna Taylor was sound asleep in her bed and the cops shot her as she was asleep. Some say the cops had the wrong house. Some say the cops did knock. They even did away with the no-knock warrant because it was believed that the cops did not knock before proceeding to go into the apartment. There's been a lot of dishonesty. And what America tends to do is take this dishonesty at face value. Why? Because of confirmation bias. It already confirms what a lot of Americans want to believe, that police are inherently racist. They're just out to get black people. They're just out to kill black people. Now, there are some bad cops, but this narrative in its entirety is not true. Actually, is not very valid at all. Now, what actually did happen? When the Attorney General, who happens to be a black guy, when he took the stand, he made sure to address our tendencies to be emotional, to overreact, to not accept facts. And he let it be known that they did the investigation as well as anybody could. They made sure to investigate honestly, with integrity, and thoroughly. And he came to this conclusion.
Evidence shows that officers both knocked and announced their presence at the apartment. The officers' statements about their announcement are corroborated by an independent witness who was near in proximity to apartment 4. In other words, the warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant. When officers were unable to get anyone to answer or open the door to apartment 4, the decision was made to breach the door. After breaching the door, Sergeant Mattingly was the first and only officer to enter the residence. Sergeant Mattingly identified 2 individuals standing beside one another at the end of the hall, a male and a female. In his statement, he says that the male was holding a gun, arms extended, in a shooting stance. Sergeant Mattingly saw the man's gun fire, heard a boom, and immediately knew he was shot as a result of feeling heat in his upper thigh. Kenneth Walker fired the shot that hit Sergeant Mattingly, and there's no evidence to support that Sergeant Mattingly was hit by friendly fire from other officers. Mr. Walker admitted that he fired one shot and was the first to shoot. In addition to all the testimony, the ballistics report shows that the round that struck Sergeant Mattingly was fired from a 9mm handgun. The LMPD officers fired 40 caliber handguns. Sergeant Mattingly returned fire down the hallway. Mattingly fired 6 shots. Almost simultaneously, Detective Cosgrove, also in the doorway, shot 16 times. This all took place in a matter of seconds. In total, 6 bullets struck Ms. Taylor. Medical evidence obtained by our team indicates that only 1 shot was fatal. Further medical evidence shows that Ms. Taylor would have died from the fatal shot within a few seconds to 2 minutes after being struck. Detective Hankinson fired his weapon 10 times, including from an outside sliding glass door and through a bedroom window. Some bullets traveled through apartment 4 and into apartment 3 before some exited that apartment. At the time, 3 residents of apartment 3 were at home, including a male, a pregnant female, and a child. There is no conclusive evidence that any bullets fired from Detective Hankinson's weapon struck Ms. Taylor.
I like the fact that the Attorney General has made it a priority to emphasize on the fact that they used a thorough investigation. These are the facts. This is about as accurate as they can come to what actually happened based on forensic evidence, witness testimony. This is what happened. But somehow America is still up in flames, up in turmoil, because you can guess most people, they don't do their research. As I said, most people take what they hear from the media, especially a media that caters to their biases. They take it at face value. There's no need to go looking for anything more. Investigate for yourself. Search deeper to make sure that the information you've been presented with is accurate, is factual, is honest. You just take what you hear, what you want to believe, and just react. And I have to say, Breonna Taylor's death was a tragedy, but to reject the evidence, the facts, and still choose to go out and protest and loot and riot and call the cops racist and call for defunding the police and state that we don't need any police is stupid beyond comprehension. It is the dumbest shit that an American can do. Why do we struggle with accepting facts? Why do we struggle accepting the truth? Because it's not what we wanted to believe. And what we believe is what absolutely necessarily needs to be true. We're going to go out and waste energy protesting, rioting, and looting. Is that going to bring Breonna Taylor back? Is that going to change the grand jury's mind? I don't understand it. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Because the facts are out, the research and the investigation is done, and these are the conclusions that the grand jury and the Attorney General have come to. See, what I take issue with is the fact that people still choose to believe whatever they want, despite evidence presented against them. The celebrities are neck deep into it. They're still choosing to believe what they want to believe. Let's take a look at what a couple of celebrities had to say. Lamar Jackson stated, "We're in America, the land of the free. But I don't really feel like it's been that way for us black people sometimes." I gotta say, the best part about getting these celebrity opinions are the fact that they're celebrities, they're well known, they're famous, they're millionaires. Most cops know them, most white people know them. A lot of their fans are white people. A lot of their fans are cops. Now, for him to say America is supposed to be the land of the free, but it doesn't feel that way for black people, sometimes, well, we know obviously that's not true. How else would he be on a platform as large as this, making the money that he does, saying what he just said, if it wasn't free for black people? He's still here. He hasn't been shot and killed by the cops. He's doing pretty well for himself. So how does it not feel like it's been free? What's the issue? Dumbass race baiter Tariq Nasheed said, after this legal lynching of Breonna Taylor, why in the hell would black people participate in the voting process at this point? Who are black people going to vote for to stop legal lynchings like this? The mayor of Louisville is Democrat. The attorney general is black. So why vote? You're absolutely right, Tariq Nasheed. The mayor of Louisville is black. But you know what else has happened under the nose of that black Louisville mayor? 112 shootings, a record 112 shootings, predominantly by African American men, and the victims are majority African American men. So whatever we need to do to stop this legal lynching of police on black people that rarely occurs, we need to vote in someone who's going to stop these everyday lynchings of blacks by other blacks that's occurring in record numbers in Democratic ran cities. How about we start there? Donovan Mitchell, who is all but 24 years old and doesn't really know much about anything outside of the NBA other than what he hears on the news, decided to write a eulogy. I don't even know where to begin. To say I'm angry, sad, disgusted is an understatement. Louisville is a city that had become my second home, so this one feels personal for me. Breonna Taylor was laying down in her own bed in her own home and was killed by 3 police officers. As an African American, I'm hurting not just for Breonna Taylor, but for every victim that has come about due to police brutality. We as a country need to do better. Justice needed to be served, and it wasn't at all. All that was settled was $12 million. Is that what this has come down to? Money over justice? When will being black stop being a threat? I have cops who are friends and members of my family. I understand there are good cops in our country, but we have to address that there are also cops who see African Americans as threats, and that's unacceptable. This isn't political. It's simply not being afraid of a child with a toy gun, a child with a hoodie on, a woman sleeping in her bed, a man going for a jog. That's it. I just wanted to write this small piece just to say, Breonna, I'm sorry that the justice system has failed you. We haven't and will not forget your name. Donovan Mitchell was just so lost at this point. I can tell that this dude has not researched anything about this case, and he's still saying the same exact things. Killed in her own bed, in her own home. She wasn't in bed, Donovan. She was up. She was staring at the sergeant when he came in. And referring to Trayvon Martin and Ahmaud Arbery, we know Trayvon Martin wasn't necessarily a saint either. We know Ahmaud Arbery wasn't jogging. This guy is a sucker for disingenuous narratives. This guy believes everything he hears the media say at face value. Clearly. Too busy playing basketball to do any research. And if you're too busy to do any research, then you should be too busy to speak on something. See, I hate that everyone has an opinion on what's going on and no one has put in the effort, the time, the research to actually understand the facts. As the Attorney General said, there's a lot of people who believe that they know the facts better than they do, that they're better detectives than they are, that they can put together everything that has transpired better than they can, and they simply can't. And any rational individual knows that they can't. My favorite NBA player, but least favorite politician, LeBron James, decided to weigh in on this situation as well. He said, the most disrespected person on this earth is the black woman. I promise you, I'll do my best to change this as much as I can and even more. Love to you queens all over this country and beyond. I have to say, I have no idea how he came to that conclusion. I don't believe the average Asian, white, Indian, Native American, Hispanic family sits around thinking about black women or how they're going to disrespect black women. I have no idea why he made such an asinine statement, that we can't objectively prove or quantify. But I guess it makes sense to him and it makes him feel better, especially when he's the one sliding in the DMs of white women on Instagram, asking them to teach him how to fish. It makes no sense to me. This apparently seems to be a really popular talking point in the black community, that black women are somehow unprotected and disrespected when the people who actually are assaulted the most and die by gun violence the most and who are robbed the most are black men. Stick to basketball, LeBron. Because every time LeBron gets involved in politics, he's just as bad as Donovan Mitchell. Those two are neck and neck right now. Dwayne Wade is retired, but he's in the terrible politician Hall of Fame at this point. And Donovan Mitchell and LeBron will soon be right beside him. First ballot. Because they have terrible perspectives when it comes to politics. All this pandering and catering to the left, basically just saying whatever they think people want to hear, despite obvious, objective realities that contradict the bullshit that comes out of these guys' mouths.
These racist shit have got to go. We don't need no cops. We don't need no cops. We don't need no cops.
Breonna Taylor's death was tragic. It was unfortunate. It was tragic. No one wanted her to die. But we understand that when that guy fired that gun at those police officers and those cops returned fire, it was justified. It was self-defense. You can't shoot at the cops and not expect the cops to shoot back. All this rioting and looting will be in vain. We see these clips of protesters saying the cops are racist. This wasn't a racist incident. This had nothing to do with race. This had everything to do with catching a drug dealer and getting him off the streets. See, the left sees race first. The left likes to project as if police, Republicans, conservative see race first. But they live by principles, rules. And if you break those rules, then it's on the merit of the fact that you broke the rule, not on the color of your skin. A black criminal is still a criminal. A black criminal is still a criminal. You are no longer excluded from criminality simply because the group that you identify with has a history of being oppressed. The freedom to break laws and do whatever you want, whenever you feel like it, and however you feel like it, is not a part of reparations. You still have to follow the rules. You still have to follow the laws. And you still will be met with consequences should you choose to defy those laws. As I said, Breonna Taylor's death was tragic. Was it a murder? Absolutely not. Has that been confirmed? It has. Will these riots, will this looting, will this protesting change anything? No, it will not. But if people want to go out and continue to believe whatever they want to believe because of the cognitive dissonance that comes with you being wrong, with you being presented with evidence that contradicts what you wanted to believe, then they have the freedom to do so. Because one of the things about America is you have the freedom to think and feel whatever you want, no matter how stupid and pointless it may be. I'm going to say rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. This is unfortunate that it happened to you, but this is not the way to deal with it. This is not going to change anything. And his case has been laid to rest. And we should allow Breonna Taylor to lay and rest as well. Over and out.